Log day 493. Good morning. It's Tuesday, which means for you it's Wednesday, which means today is Radically Wednesday. And for Radically Wednesday, we're going to angle the camera just a little bit lower. Today, I'm actually going to talk to my fellow creators. I mean, that's what Radically Wednesday usually is anyways, is talking to other writers. Today, I'm going to talk in general to creators, writers, YouTubers, musicians, all shapes and stripes and sizes. Today, I'm actually going to talk to you about Patreon. And from a creator's perspective, if you're a writer, a YouTuber, musician, whatever you are, Patreon is very important. Very important to me, increasingly. It's amazing. I'm gonna use Cheryl as an example because she's the one that was pushing me to make this video. She asked me to make this video multiple times because there are a lot of people out there who are waffling on whether or not they should do Patreon. There are people that have kind of put one foot in the water but haven't really jumped in. And then there are a number of people out there that probably should be doing something like Patreon and aren't even thinking about it. And so this video is for them. It's for all of you. If you're debating, stop debating, start planning. That was kind of aggressive, but we'll talk about it. First things first, gotta go for a run. I only went for 3.5 miles, and I have no idea what the pace was, but I got out. That was my first run of the week. Tuesday? We can make this happen. It's a goal, if you weren't following, to run 3 times a week. I'm gonna hit it this week. So, Cheryl's number one objection, and I think the number one objection of a lot of artists is that they don't want money to get in the way of what they're creating. They don't want it to become about that. They don't want it to be the driving force for them. And that's completely understandable. If you're making art like this, I mean, I've been making this for almost 500 days now, and it's obviously not been about money because I have not made any money off of it. That's changing, but I haven't been able to make any money off of it, and that doesn't matter because that's not what I'm here for. You gotta get that out of the way. That's not the reason that you do something like Patreon. Just wave it away. The main reason that you build a Patreon, in my ever so humble opinion, is because it's a place where you can grow a community. You never want to exclude anybody that's a part of your community. You never want to exclude fans, and naturally putting a dollar sign on something does have that tendency, which is why I try to keep certain parts of my Patreon open to the public. Because I want to make sure people can still be involved and still feel included. But I do want to create a safe space where my best fans, my most favoriteest fans, can come hang out, influence my decisions through polls, which I need to make a monument poll today. They can influence me through polls, they can give me suggestions, and then I can give them fun stuff too. It really helps you to identify a group of people that really want to be a part of what you're doing. And that's a really important thing to remember, is that the people that come to you on Patreon, that are supporting you on Patreon, are there to support you. They are your biggest fans. They're into you, they're into what you're doing, they want to support you for what you're doing. They're really passionate about it, and it's not about money at that point. It's about value, giving value back and forth. I'll explain that in a second, because it's very, very different than a transaction. And I'll explain that here in just a second, but first I gotta shower, because this is gross. It's really funny because I came this way specifically because there's that little Asian restaurant that I've always wanted to try, but always looked like they didn't have any business, and I just thought maybe I'd go give them some business. Looks like I was a couple months too late. Oops, sorry, Bonsai. So the value that goes between creator and community in the instance of something like Patreon with crowdfunding, what you're effectively enabling is for people to be a part of what you're doing. You're giving them the ability to pitch in and to give back. My favorite YouTubers I've sent stuff to over the years, given stuff to, the Green Brothers, Casey Neistat, Terrence Southern, handful of people that at one point or another in my life meant something to me and were giving something to me just by creating what they were creating. And I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to reach out and let them know I existed. I wanted to support them in what they were doing. Not that any of those guys really need my support, but you get the idea. And so I did. When given the opportunity, that's what I did. And so similarly, by not giving people an opportunity to reach out and be a part of what you're doing, you're kind of robbing them of that opportunity. The other part of it is what it means to me as a creator, at least, to see people jumping onto Patreon. How an empty cheese bag ended up in the bushes, but that's weird. I'm like the worst version of Santa Claus ever.
like the blue cups better, but you know, the content's just still good. Speaking of interactions, I've got some stragglers to send postcards to still. Just a couple. And then a few, Sonia did these. The other day you saw Sonia, and I showed you these, but sending these to my family. So thanks, Sonia. That was nice of her to give them to me. And now I'm gonna send them to my grandma, because I don't want my grandma to feel left out of the postcard situation. Anyways, spoiler alert, grandma, you're getting a postcard. Postcard sent, laundry done. It's been a productive day. Except, I mean, I got some work done, but my to-do list has more to do than done on it so far today. How does that look? Good luck? Probably not. Okay, so one of the things that is most important to me, and I was trying to say, but the traffic kept killing it, and I was like, let's just not do this. So for me, scooters are the worst, is the community aspect. There are two really important things. For one, it gives me a really unique avenue to interact with my audience that I don't have in any other way. So people that are watching my vlog every day, a number of you leave comments, a number of you never do. That's okay, but I don't know what's going on half the time. What are you enjoying? What is it that you want to see more of? What is it that you want to see less of? What you know, those kinds of questions are things that get answered through something like Patreon, because it distills down into a group of people that are really invested. It's people that really want to be a part of it, and so it naturally forms this group of people that are ready to answer your questions, are ready to jump in, are ready to do polls, are just excited about everything that you're doing. And it's crazy. And I'm really, really lucky for that. And I'm really, really fortunate. And that's a group of people that you really want to be growing and encouraging and giving them more stuff. Even if it's just being able to hang out and talk to you a little bit more, it's really, really valuable to them and really valuable to you as a creator, because they're amazing. They're the people that you really want to be interacting with. I gotta turn on the light. So for me, it's really, really hugely important to have that group of people around. Secondly, the dollar, right? Somebody's willing to put down $1 to say they really believe in what you're doing. That's huge. That's $1 they had to work for. If they're offering to give you $5 a month, it might not seem like much, but it's a lot. Like, that adds up. And especially if a lot of people do that, it really adds up. And more importantly, it really speaks highly to what they think about. Where did the birds come from? Is it spring all of a sudden? Easily distracted today. It really speaks highly to how much they value your art, whatever it is you're doing, whether that's making movies or music or paintings, whatever it is. The fact that people are willing to jump on board and support you in that should speak volumes to your work. It should speak in ways that validates you. Now, that said, it doesn't mean that if you open a Patreon, just people are gonna flood in. It's a longer process than that. We can talk about that. But ultimately, I think the biggest thing for somebody like Cheryl, who's thinking about doing it but reluctant, is that feeling that they don't want it to become about the money. They don't want it to become a this for that. But in reality, you're still gonna give the content you give anyways. And those people are still gonna want to support you either way. They're gonna wanna be a part of it. And Cheryl saw that recently with her announcement that she's leaving Paris. People are like, well, I wanna be a part of this. How do I help you? Do you have a Patreon? What can we do? And that's a mentality that is out there. And if you don't give people the proper outlet to be a part of what you're doing, in a way you're robbing them of an opportunity to be a part of what you're doing. And that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to give people the opportunity to just be that much more involved and that much more invested, and to prove to you how much they really love what you're doing. And it's really crazy, because if you're somebody like me who's like, does anybody like what I'm doing? I'm not even allowed to have those moments more and more, because specifically patrons are there to remind you, yes, we care, all the time. They're always reminding me that. And I am so lucky to have that, and I want to continue to grow that. The other thing is timing. Really important. But I got to get back to work here in a second, so I'm just going to say this now. Timing is really important as well, because just because you don't think you're going to have very many people joining you on Patreon today doesn't mean you shouldn't start today. In the same way that once swimming suit season rolls around, you're going to wish you'd started dieting right after Christmas. Right? Like, if only I'd started dieting then, I'd be so much farther ahead of where I am than where I am now. Same thing. My Patreon kind of plateaued for a long time, right? Because it was geared around my writing. I re-geared it around my vlog, and still, even after that, I didn't really push it, didn't tell people about it, didn't ask. One of the more really important things that I learned while volunteering in West Africa and raising funds to volunteer in West Africa was, if you don't ask, you don't get. If people don't know where it is, they don't know how to get to your Patreon, if they don't know that you are open to that they have an opportunity to be a part of it, then they simply will not come. But I had it open, it slowly grew. Then as soon as I started letting people know where it was, asking people to join in, please do join my Patreon if you would like to. It's grown immensely, and my patrons know this. I wrote an article about this recently for a friend, but one of the really crazy things is ever since I've been like, hey guys, here it is, come on board, it has grown by at least 20% a month, every month since I've started doing that. I'm not saying that's going to continue, and I'm not saying that that's like what you should expect, or maybe you can do better, but the fact of the matter is that it's real and it's there, and people find it and they think about it and they join eventually, or maybe they don't, but people want to support you in other ways too. Just on the side, people have brought me snacks, people have done all these crazy things, all because I've been open to it and allowed it in. Because when the first two people that came to me said, hey, we want to bring you snacks, or hey, we want to give you this or that, I was very reluctant. The last thing I want to do is make people think that I am in this for stuff, or that I need anything from them. I mean, I need stuff. We all need stuff. But at the same time, I didn't want them to think that that's what this was about. I'm giving myself away so as much because it's good for me to share and to let my life be open to the world as it is for people to receive it. And the crazy thing is that there are people that really wanted me to know just how much it meant to them that I was doing that. And the best way they could think of was to bring me tortilla chips. And I love tortilla chips, and they're really hard to find in France. That kind of stuff, it's not even just about Patreon, but it's about opening that door and saying, okay, I will receive your generosity. And that is, it's required from us as humans. We want to be generous towards others, but if we don't allow people to be generous towards us, then it just doesn't work. It's a two-way thing. So my hope is that I'm being effectively generous in the work and the effort, the discipline, the consistency that I put into this vlog. And then there are people on the other side that want to be generous to me in the ways that they can. And if I hadn't opened that door, if I hadn't said, okay, go for it, then I wouldn't have this amazing rain jacket that I have, and I wouldn't have this crazy, awesome community of people that is steadily growing. And I'm so excited to see them and so excited to talk to them in comments. I'm really looking forward to meeting them in person when we go on the West Coast road trip in a couple of weeks, or when we have the meetup here in Paris on the 25th. It opens up all these really cool doors to meet really interesting people, and just to have your life blessed, for lack of a better word, to be blessed by other people who already feel blessed by you. And that's a huge part of it. Creators, I'm speaking to you this whole time, and hopefully this all makes sense, but you have to remember that what you're doing, if you're doing it well and with the right intentions, is ideally blessing other people. Again, whether that's music, writing, video production, acting, whatever it is, if you're doing it with the right intentions in mind and you're putting everything you have into it, then it is going to bless other people. And that should not be such a crazy, I know it feels crazy to me, but let that be real to you. Don't let that be a crazy thought. Think in terms of like, wow, what I'm doing is actually blessing other people. And if they want to turn around and be a part of that with me, want to bless me in return, want to support me, want to get me closer to my goals and my dreams, as look at the goal board back here, right? If they want to get me closer to actually achieving the stuff in the dream category over here, why wouldn't I let them? Like, let's do this together. So that's my pitch for you for Patreon. It's not about, ultimately, if you can be successful on Patreon, and I hope I am someday, along with other things, but yeah, of course, you can achieve freedom. Like, there's a liberation in crowdfunding. There's an ability to interact with your audience and be supported by that and do what you love, because there are people around you who support you and want you to do what you love. And that alone is amazing. That by itself is crazy as a concept. It's hard to believe that that's even a possibility. Like, thank God for the internet. So that's part of it. But the real part of it is, and I would really encourage you to value your work strongly enough to recognize that there are people out there who value it as well, and then give people the opportunity to show you that they value your work. And if you can do those two things, I think you'll be surprised about what amazing things happen. And if this is something that interests you, we can always talk more about it. I am teaching a class on crowdfunding right now, so it's really fresh in my brain. But it's really, really, really important. It's really valuable. If you are watching this and you have a creator that you love, that you wish would just open up a Patreon already, feel free to send them this link. Hopefully this was helpful enough to be worth sending the link. If you're a creator who's thinking about it and you're really just not sure, just hit me up in comments or slide into my DMs, whatever you need to do. Just ask questions. It's great. If I get a lot of questions, maybe I'll make another video about it to answer those questions. Cheryl and I might talk about it at some point too, again on camera, because we had a long conversation about this recently. But yeah, you as a creator are valuable. What you create is valuable, and there are people out there that want to express that. And now I've got to turn that around and continue to tell myself that, because it's hard to believe that. And I understand it's hard to believe that, but what you make is valuable. There are people out there that value it. Give them an opportunity to show that they value it. And thank you to my patrons for making this possible. Like, the fact that it's growing so much, and that there are so many people out there that do offer me that validation on a monthly basis is incredible. And I value it so very much. And it's brought such it's really been life-changing in some really cool ways. So thank you to my patrons. Above all, from this video, thank you to my patrons for giving me a sense of faith in humanity and a reason to be able to share this, that I really do believe in this because of you guys. And if it wasn't for you, I'd probably still be wondering, what am I doing with my life? I wonder that a little bit less now. So thank you. Anyways, I gotta get back to work. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe, like the video, share it with somebody who you think should have a Patreon page. I'm gonna put a link below. That's like my little affiliate link for Patreon. It's basically one of those things where if you use it and you launch a Patreon page, we both get kind of a bonus out of it depending on how well you do. You don't have to do that by any means, but I'll put that down there if that's where you wanna get started. I would really, really encourage you guys to jump on Patreon. Whether you're a creator who needs to jump on to let people support you, or you're somebody who loves a creator and wants to support them, trust me, it means a lot. And one last caveat, if you're a creator and people do support you on Patreon, make sure you say thank you. That's really important. I think I might have missed like 1 or 2 messages along the way that I should have sent, and I'm sorry if I have a patron watching this and I never sent you a direct message to thank you. I meant to, and if you let me know, I will make sure to thank you again and make it up to you. But for the rest of you, I know I've been really good about it lately, so. Anyways, please do subscribe, stick around. We'll talk more about this in the future, I'm sure. My name is Jay. I'm gonna get out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's not falling right.